Hello, welcome to today's class. So today what we're going to do is we are going to learn how to launch an EKS cluster and also do some deployment with our EKS cluster. So we are going to also look at some various type of deployments in our Kubernetes environments. Um, and the objectives of this class is learn how to create an IAM user and also add some admin permissions and also learn how to provision EKS cluster, learn how to create a deployment on your EKS cluster to test the high availability features of your EKS cluster. So without wasting more time, let's start. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to create an IAM user with admin password. So let's go to our AWS console and let's look for the IAM service. So this is IAM. AWS is a bit slow today. So we're going to create a user. So we go to users, create a user. We're going to name the user Kate as admin. Next, we're going to attach some policies to the user. So attach policy directly, and we're going to attach the administrator access. So that's one of the highest access that any user can have. So they can have access to all the AWS resources. So after attaching that, we go to next and we create a user. So the next thing is after creating a user, we need to create an access key. So let's create our access key. We are going to copy our access and secret key to somewhere save access key. Secret key. You can also download your access key so you can have it saved very well. So we are done. The next thing is you need to create a role. So you're also going to create a role. Let's create a role. This is an AWS service. Use case is EC2. Next, we're also going to attach an administrator access to our role. So our service can also have administrator access level. I'm going to name it KTS. KTS means Kubernetes. So that's another name for Kubernetes. Then also we create our role. Oh, a role with this name already exists. So I'm going to name it KTS admin also for the role. Create role. Okay, so we're done. So let's go back to our block instruction block. And the next thing it says we've done creating our IAM user and added permission. So the next thing it says we should launch an EC2 with Amazon Linux 2 AMI or image and attach our administrator access. So let's do that. So let's go back to our AWS. Mm, 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 mm. Okay, so let's go to EC2. AWS is a bit slow today. So let's launch an instance. Yeah, take your time. It's gonna be. So let's take our time. It's a bit slow today, I know. So we are going to name this, we're going to name our instance KTS master. And this is an Amazon Linux. We are going to use Amazon Linux, not Ubuntu. This is an Amazon Linux we're going to use for this lab because some of the commands we're going to use is centered around Amazon Linux. And the next thing we're going to do is we need to make sure our cluster and our deployments are running very fast. So I think we should use like a T3 medium. So let's use a T3 medium. Mm, or T3 large. Okay, we can use a T3 large. I'm going to use one of my key pairs. I think you should have one key pair you use all the time. So I'm going to use this key pair. And I think everything is good. Maybe I can change my volume to 32. And I think everything looks good. Let's launch our instance. Um, our console is a bit slow today, but then, it's still going to work. Regardless, we're going to work. We're going to create our clusters and do our deployment. Yes, so our instance is back and it's running. So the next thing we're going to do is we need to attach the role we created to our Kubernetes master. So create master actions, security, modify IAM role. And we're going to use the K. Which one did we do? KHS admin, right? Yes. So we're going to the one we created, we recently created the KHS admin. We're going to use that, and we're going to update IAM role. Well, so we've created our instance, we've created, first of all, we created a user, we attached the policy, the created access policy to our user, then we created a role, and also we attached our role to our instance, like what our instructions told us to do. So let's access our server. This is a mobile XTEM, eh, no, SSH. Paste. So this is going to be EC2 user. This is not Ubuntu. If it's Ubuntu, you type over that. But then this is an Amazon image. So it's going to be EC2 user instead of Ubuntu. And we're going to use a private key, the KSS private key. Okay, accept. Clear. Good. Let's go back to our block and see what it tells us to do. So the next thing is we've launched our EC2 instance and so attach the administrator access permission. So next thing is we need to install our EKS cluster. These are the commands to install our EKS command. So first of all, we need to install the pip. Pip is Python. Um, let's install a pip. Paste it here. So when you're doing yours, you need to copy the commands one by one, but then I'm a pro, and so I want to move a bit faster, so I'm copying the commands, but then you need to copy it one by one. The next thing is we need to install AWS CLI and do some AWS configurations. Copy, paste, enter. And that's going to ask us for our secret and access key. So access key, I paste my access key here. My secret key. Yeah. A default region name is okay. Let's go check out default region. You go here. I'm using the US is 2 region, so US is 2, US is 2, and the default output format is JSON. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to install EKS Kettle and also check the version. Okay, we did that. And it says we should install our kubectl. So we are going to use our kubectl to do the cluster creation. So we need to install our kubectl. So we installed our kubectl. So the next thing we're going to do is, let's see. Also, we need to install AWS IAM Authenticator. I did that. I copied this, paste it here. That's done. Let me clear my screen. Okay, now what we're going to do next is we are going to create our cluster. We are going to provision our EKS cluster with 3 worker nodes in US East 2 region. So this is the command. EKS Kettle, create a cluster. Name the cluster EKS demo 003. Our region is US 2, is 2, sorry. Yeah, so check your region and edit this. Node group name is standard workers, name is standard workers. The type of my node, worker nodes should be T2 medium, and the nodes should be 3 nodes minimum. Minimum. Give me 3 nodes minimum every time. And also, um, no, give me 3 nodes and give me like a minimum of 1 node at every time and also a maximum of 3. Right. So we're going to use this command to create our clusters. 3 worker nodes, T2 medium, and also a minimum of 1 and maximum of 3. So let's create our clusters. So this command is going to do so many things. It's going to do so many things. Just this command is going to do so many things for us. So let's check that. Uh, I think there's something here I need to check. I think I need to edit this command. Let me see. Okay, so I think I have the right command here. So this is going to take about 10 to 15 minutes. Uh, uh, supposed to be. So I'm not going to hold you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pause this video. So after 10 to 15 minutes, we're going to be back. So whilst our cluster is built, like I said, it's going to take about 15 to 20 minutes. There's so much happening at the back end. Cloud formation or the stacks is creating our clusters for us and doing a lot more for us, but we can check. Um, so to cloud formation. So you see, it says creation and creates in progress. So let's see. events. So it's gonna do all this. It's doing a lot during the subnets, networking, and everything. It's gonna do it for us. So let's do it. And I'm still gonna pause this video. I don't want you to wait, so I'm gonna pause this video. And when it's back, we continue. Yeah, so our cluster is done provisioning, so we can check from our console. Let's go to EC2. We should have instance running. We should have 3 worker nodes and 1 master. Okay, so in this command, we said create EKS demo, create a cluster, name it EKS demo. So that's what it did, EKS demo, and we said 3 nodes. So it created 3 nodes with T2 medium. So this is the T2 medium. Let's go back to the command. Oh, I need to put my phone, I need to put my laptop on charge. So this is a Kubernetes master with the 3 worker nodes we created. So when we say a cluster is a collection of nodes. So these 3 nodes is a cluster. So this ends how to create a cluster, and let's move on to doing some deployment with our cluster. I think this command is wrong. And you need to make sure you delete your cluster after this lab because it costs a lot. AWS is going to charge a lot if you don't delete your cluster. So this is the command to delete your cluster. So now let's see our nodes. kubectl get nodes. That's clear. kubectl gets nodes, and we should see our 3 nodes. So these are 3 nodes created 10 minutes ago. Um, see, let's see. We don't have any ports. Let's see if we have any ports. We see here get ports. No, it said no resource found. So we're going to do some deployment with our cluster. So we are going to deploy an Nginx port on Kubernetes. So we are going to this is an Nginx kubectl run Nginx. The image is Nginx. It should give us a replica of 2 and on port 80. Replica means this Nginx give us 2 ports and a replica of 2. So if you're in my class, we talk about replica. Okay. So the Nginx deployment created. What is say should do next? Now we want to view our pause. kubectl get pause, and also kubectl get deployment will show us our deployment. So let's see our pause. kubectl get pause. It should be 2 ports. So we said create a 2 ports of this deployment, this container. So we have 2, and let's see our deployment. kubectl get deployment. So we have a deployment named Nginx. 2 over 2 is 2 replicates. and up to date and always is available, and it created 50 seconds ago. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to expose this deployment as a service. So we're going to expose it as a service. So these two containers, we want to publicly access this. So we're going to use this command to access our so we've created a service and exposed it so we can able to access our deployments. So we're going to use this load balancer service to be able to access our deployment. So let's see. It's going to take some few minutes. Let's wait for a while. It's going to take some few minutes. I'll keep refreshing. Yeah, it takes some few minutes to so it's our load balancer. That's gonna so if you're in our classes, so we talk about load balancing service, and we're going to do a lot of labs on services and deployment. So I don't explain it. So copy this again. Paste it here. It takes some few minutes sometimes. It's gonna our engineering deployment is gonna yes. So it's here. So we've deployed our Engine X service. We've deployed our Engine X service. So the next thing is so this is one way of deploying doing some deployments. We created deployments and we expose the service with a load balancer. Also, let's try another way of deploying using the YAML to do the deployment. So we're going to do another way of deploying application using the YAML file. So we need to create a deployment. So first of all, I'm going to create a deployment. So via demo app, the deployment is going to be called demo app 01. So let me do a VI editor command. Let me clear this. Anytime I try to copy, it's okay. So let me clear my screen. I paste the command here. I press an I insert, and I'm going to insert my deployment. So this is the deployment you're creating with a YAML. So this is API version. Our version is version 1. Our kind is deployment. Under the metadata, the name is deploy 1. The app is version 1. Give us 3 replicas of this deployment. So we are also always going to have 3 pods running or 3 containers running for this deployment. And this is the version 1. And this is the image. I want to change the image. I want to use an image. Let me confirm if my image is right. Okay, so this is the image we are going to deploy. This is the Docker image we are going to deploy. So everything looks good. We escape, WQ, enter. Now, after this, we are going to create the deployment. So kubectl create, let me confirm the command. So kubectl create demo one. So we created. The next thing is we need to also create a service. We need to also create a service to be able to expose this application. Let's create a service. VI create an I insert. So API version is this is the version 1. We are going to expose on the port 8080. Sorry, port 3200. And the service type is node ports. So let's save this. And in this create a deployment file, the service file, sorry, kubectl correct created. Now let's see, let's open a port 3200. So with any of the worker nodes, we're going to open a port 3200 because we expose this file on port 3200. So security. We're going to edit inbound rules. Edit inbound rules. Let's open a rule for 3200. Open anywhere. And let's save the rule. Let's go back to our EC2. And let's copy, let's take an instance of any of the worker nodes. Copy this worker nodes. And let's open with port 3200. It's gonna take a while also. Yeah, boom, application is being deployed. Application is being deployed. So this is an image. The image from Docker Hub and application is being deployed, and we host an application that's 200. So this is another way to also deploy your application using YAML. And the next thing is, so this application is being hosted in a Kubernetes. It's being hosted, it's being deployed, it's being hosted in Kubernetes. So application is on Kubernetes, and we've done a deployment. Now, the next thing is let's try another type of deployment. So there's another type of deployment called the rollouts, and the rollback. And we are going to also try this deployment. So let's do that. So we're going to do the rollout and rollback on Kubernetes. So assuming your company, we've done a deployment and there's a new feature we want to roll into. So the developers have developed a new feature we want to roll onto for our users to have access to. So what do we do? So let's first of all, let's get our deployment. And we're going to change this feature of our deployment to a new feature, like a version 2. A version 2, and let's save. So we want to deploy. So this is apply, right? We are not creating, so we are applying this deployment. Let's go on. Let's roll out this deployment. And let's see if you're going to be successful. This successfully roll out this version. Now, let's check something. So, see, it changed from blue to green. So if you've rolled out this version within seconds, that's Kubernetes for you. It's so intelligent. It roll out the new versions, and this is a rollout. This is how to roll out on Kubernetes. Now let's continue. Now, assume we made a mistake and we want to roll back to our previous version. So we're going to use this command kubectl undo deployment, and we're going to roll back to the first version. So it says it has rolled back. So let's go to and see our deployment. Let's see the rollback again. Yes, so you saw it's rolled back to our previous version. So this is the rollout and rollback deployment in Kubernetes. So in an interview, they can ask you which deployment strategies do you know? So you can talk about deploying with rollout and rollback, and also using the YAML and also to do the deployment. So there's also another type of deployment to ensure there's no downtime called the blue-green, which we are also going to do. So let's go back to our block. So we're also going to look at the blue-green deployment. So the blue-green deployment is a continuous deployment process that reduce downtime and risks by having two identical production environment called the blue and green. So, but before we start we need to delete our current deployment. So we're going to use this kubectl or delete deployment. Uh, kubectl delete deployment. Um, Let me first see the deployment I have here. kubectl get deployment. Also have to deploy one. So I'm going to delete this kubectl delete deployments. I have two deployments. You remember we did a sample engineers deployment, and we said we want two replicates, and also we just created deploy one where we said we want three replicates is running, but we want to delete and also try the blue green deployment. So we're going to delete this deployment. We just did a deploy one. Just the delete deployment, deploy one. Okay, so deployment deleted. Now let's see kubectl delete um kubectl. Let's check our services. Kubectl get service. So we have our SVC service that we just created. So I want to also delete that. So kubectl delete service SVC one. So deleted. Now we want to do a blue-green deployment. So let's have a version 2. Let's create a version. So I deleted that deployment because I wanted to start from scratch so you see how we do the blue-green. So the blue-green means you having a blue, that's the current deployment, and having a green, that's the future deployment you want to deploy to. So let's create a blue deployment. This is the version 1. Let's go to the block. Like this. Let's create a service. Let's create a deployment. kubectl create f the we created another deployment. That's a deployment one. I want to create a service. kubectl create service. kubectl, that's a wrong command. kubectl create f create f as yes, our service is created. So let's see our deployment. kubectl get deployment. So we having our deployment, our deploy one that we just created. Let me see our service kubectl get service. So this is our service we just created. Now we want to create another deployment. So this is our current deployment. Let's see if it's mm, mm. So this is our version we have now. So we want to have a future version. So this is the blue, and we have our green. So when you say blue, blue is the current version you have, and green is your upcoming version you want to deploy to users. So we want to create another version for our users. So what we do is we also create a second version. Click I to paste a version. Let's make changes to our image. I need to verify that my image is correct. Okay, so the version 2, yeah. Now let's create this deployment. So create /f 2.yaml. It's created. Now we need to create a service. Also, but this service is going to be exposed on 32.600. 32.600. So we need to see. So it's being exposed in 32.600. So let's save this. Now let's create a service. kubectl kubectl create 02.yaml. Our service is created. Now let's see our deployment. kubectl get deployment. So you have the deploy 1 and the deploy 2. Or let's say our service kubectl get service. Now we have our service there, service 1 and service 2. Now we need to open port 32.600. Let's confirm 32.600. Let's go to our console. EC2 dashboard. Instance running. We choose any of the node. Then we go to security. Identity inbound rules. Add rule. Save rules. So we opened it. Now let's verify if our new version. Let's copy the IP address of any of the worker nodes. Let's test this of our new version we created with port 2600. So this is the first deployment, and this is the second deployment we've made. So this the first deployment, and this is the second deployment we made. Now, this is available to the users, and this is just available to the internal team. Then we make sure this is good. Now we want to roll this, the second version, to the users. So let's see what do we do. Go back to our block. So we open our service file. Now we want to change the app version to 2. And also the app version here to 2. Then we save it. Oh, come on. What's the next thing? Now we want to kubectl apply version. Want to apply this version? So we apply this version. Now we want to go back to our block and see. So this is for the users. So now the users have access to this version now. Now we need to delete that the users have. It has been rolled. So now we can delete the older version. kubectl delete deployment 1. So this is the row. This is also the blue-green deployment. So now we can delete the older version. We deleted the older version. So this is the Kubernetes deployment. So far, what we've done is we've looked at how to create users, also assign um, permissions to our users, also create roles and also attach roles to EC2 instance. And also we've created clusters. After creating clusters, we looked at different type of deployments. Also we deployed Engine X. Also we did the deployment to the YAML file. We also did the deployments. We did the rollback and the roll-on deployments. And after that, we did the blue-green deployments, all in this lab. And also we've had extensive discussion out in our previous classes. And also we are going to do more Kubernetes also. But then also you always have to remember to delete your cluster after. So let's delete our cluster. So you're going to use this command to delete your cluster. If you don't delete your cluster, Amazon is going to charge you so much. So thanks for joining my class and hope to see you in the next class. Thank you.